I'm Sue Elliott.
And I'm Ed Holen. Welcome to this edition of the Olympia Insider, as we're approaching not quite the end, but at least in the end game, I think.
Right, there's still lots going on. We're having hearings on different policy issues. The budgets haven't come out yet. We're hearing that they're going to come out soon. And so I think, everybody needs to continue to contact their legislators and make sure your voices are heard.
Today, in fact, is also Autism Awareness Day down here at the state capitol. And there is a proclamation being offered on the floor of the Senate this morning, at this very moment when we're speaking actually, that will highlight awareness of autism. And I think some of the behaviors that have come along with autism have been a special focus this session. Right,
and one of the things that we're working on is House Bill 1688, which requires that school districts provide notification to parents if there's going to be any restraints, seclusion, anything done with their sons and daughters that would be harmful.
It's interesting to me in this enlightened age, and after we've had so many years of doing positive interventions to address behaviors, that we still have seclusions and restraints. And the fact that people aren't notified when they are used is just really appalling.
Well, we had a hearing earlier this week, and we had family members down there testifying about some of the situations that happened with their sons and daughters.
The bill is important to me because my son, who we adopted 3 years ago, had trauma in his life at an early age, and that trauma was reenacted when teachers in Seattle Public Schools decided to lay on top of him. And it's caused a lot of problems for him in his life because he doesn't trust teachers anymore. And so I wanted to change the laws surrounding what goes on in the schools as far as letting parents know about abuse and restraint and seclusion, so that if their child is having some kind of difficulty, that they can communicate with the teachers and come up with a plan for it instead of not knowing what's going on in the school.
I had not been notified of my son being put in restraints or in a padded room until I stumbled into it. So once I became aware that this was a practice the school was using to control my son, I was able to call a meeting with district people, with school staff, and talk about solutions to come up with so that we could be proactive to keep him out of that room, to keep him out of restraints. Talk about what are some solutions that we could put in place for him and actually create a very good behavior plan.
And the bottom line is parents have the right to know when their individual child, whether it's in kindergarten or they're a transition student, they need to know through any piece of education when these kids are being isolated and restrained.
It's in the Senate Early Learning and K-12 committee right now for the hearing. This will be the public hearing. The executive session where they could amend it and pass it out needs to happen before next Wednesday. April 3rd, I think. And so it has about a week, a little over a week, to get through both steps of the process before it goes to the floor of the Senate. So any communication with the members of the Education Committee in the Senate would be great, and after that to all members of the Senate.
And one of the things that we want to do is thank you. Thank those of you who have contacted your legislators about bills, about budget issues. We believe that our voices are being heard. You need to continue your work, but at this moment, I think everyone knows that people with developmental disabilities are a priority.
And remember,
change is made.